like I said, create a system around the way you do your things. I track my expenses. I know the budget of our household, the amount we are going to spend this month. This is it. This is the amount that will be going into investment. It helps to make it in percentages. If you say you want to be investing 25% of your income, then that's what will be going towards that investment. So every single month, I already know that £1,000 is going to this account. This is going to this account. This is going to that account. That was what was lacking at the beginning until I realized that if you don't have a system, you won't be consistent.
Yes.
But if you have a system in place, it will lead to that consistency. So the moment I build that, it makes my investing easy. All I have to do is every month, the same amount goes into the account. What I will now buy will depends on whatever is happening and whatever I will go and check in the market.
Hello, welcome to the Nigerian Investors Podcast, the unofficial podcast that tracks and reports on the activities of the Nigerian boss. My name is Mudi, and with my colleague Aye, we will be hosting this podcast. TNI Podcast is dedicated to stimulating a renewed enthusiasm among the general population with regard to the activities of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Ultimately, the goal of TNI is to see that many Nigerians from all walks of life, both at home and in the diasporas, become active participants on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Before we go further, we would like to place on record TNI Podcast is solely for educational purposes and not a replacement for professional financial advice. Let's begin. Welcome back to the Nigerian Investor Podcast, where we simplify the art of building wealth one episode at a time. Today, we are excited to welcome a very special guest to the show. Someone who truly embodies the spirit of hustle, care, and financial curiosity. Joining us is Uthman, a registered nurse in both Nigeria and the United Kingdom, currently serving as a charge nurse in the United Kingdom. But beyond the scrubs and stethoscope, Uthman is deeply passionate about personal finance and investing, two words that don't often collide with healthcare. But in his case, they absolutely do. He is part of a growing tribe of professionals who are not just working for money, but making money work for them. We will be diving into his journey, his investment mindset, and how he's balancing a demanding healthcare career with building financial independence across borders. So, whether you are in Lagos, London, or Lekki Phase 1, grab your pen and notepad because this episode is packed with insights. Let's welcome Uthman to the podcast. You're welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me. It's nice being here. Yeah.
So, without further ado, let's just get into the groove. Can you tell us about your journey? How did a professional nurse become a passionate investor?
Okay. Uh, so I can't really pinpoint it until you ask this question, like what the journey is actually like. But looking back, I think some of the things we exhibit in our adult life
Yeah.
actually came from when we are growing up. So looking back, my dad, I came from a very low income background,
Okay.
and my parents are not lettered. Okay.
Okay.
So, but my dad is somebody that saved. So growing up, right from like the age of 2008 is into something they call ajo in Nigeria.
Okay.
This is very common in Africa, where group of people come together, they contribute money, and one person will take the bulk of the money every month. This is one thing it does to do most of his projects, including building our house.
Okay.
And right from that age, he will give me the money for his own contribution to go and give to the person who is coordinating the ajo.
Okay.
So I'm used to this culture of this dad who likes to save and is using that savings to build things. And at the same time, when I finished my nursing school and I started working, I wasn't investing in any shares or anything. But there's always this thing. I came from a town in Oyo State called Shaki. If
Okay.
anyone knows Shaki, we are very close to border. And so many people do businesses with other people from the French speaking countries. So I know all these things because my dad will always come home that somebody has given money to someone, and this person is giving them something at the end of the month from the money they gave them to now get their capital back at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I know that this is a way of gaining more money. But at that point, I don't even have much to be able to do some of these things. I have no idea about what stock market investing is all about.
Okay.
And then came 2017. I was working in Ibadan. So I'm now fond of listening to radio. So I listened to most of the radio station in Ibadan then. And some of these programs that talk about self-development and all sorts. So I will listen to these things. They will mention things like all these wealth and things like that. But I still didn't start anything then. There was no one talking about it online. There was no one talking about this. These are things that are synonymous to rich people. Investing in shares, investing in stocks. Then there was this crypto thing then, which I personally also believe was a scam then. So I didn't put any of my own money there. Then fast forward to 2021 when I moved to the UK. When I got here, let's even talk about what led to that. Before I left Nigeria, I was in Kano.
Okay.
In order to make more money, I was working as a nurse, and at the same time, I was selling jalabia. I'll buy that in Kano and sell it down in Lagos and Ibadan. I was making shitload of money then than even what I was making as a nurse.
Wow.
That was what I used to process my traveling. And getting to the UK, how will I be making more money aside my salary is what led me to investment. So I was looking at all these investment opportunity. What will I do in the UK? Then you will remember 2021 very well. How
Yeah.
crypto was bubbling and also in fact around that time I started, like October, November of 2021, Bitcoin was selling for like $62,000, which was the highest at that time. That was when I started. And I started with crypto, put in some money there without understanding what crypto is all about. Log in on Twitter, see some guys talking about some coin, bought it. But along the way, I have this knack for learning, and I'm a very curious type. The moment I started putting some money into crypto, putting like £200, £300 here and there, I started learning about how crypto works. I now realize that as they are talking about crypto, they normally link it to another asset class called the stock market that is less risky than crypto. That's what led me to the stock market. And I realized that I think this thing that is less risky and will still make me money, I think that one will be better. I started researching that, and I could see that there is a lot of resources on that than even crypto.
Wow.
And that tends to resonate with me more. So basically, that's the journey into investing. And it's just keep on going from there. Yeah.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Your story about how you came about the stock market is quite intriguing because we've had some people on this podcast. They started with the stock market before they delved into other aspects. But yours, crypto led you to the equity
Exactly.
market, which is very peculiar, and that's interesting. That is one of the reasons why we try to host people, to bring them here so that they can tell us about their journey because it's going to help. And like you said, learning is the best way for you to really build your wealth because more often times I see people they just come on board and the question they ask is, what can I invest in? What stock do you want me to buy? What crypto do you want me to buy? Like you need to learn first, get the information before you know what you're investing in. Like what people
Absolutely.
will say, do not invest in what you don't understand. If you invest in what you don't understand, it becomes a problem. Your take is very interesting. So now I want to really drive it home to Nigeria in particular. What sparked your interest in the Nigerian capital market specifically?
So that's another interesting part. So when I
Okay.
started investing in the stock market here in the UK, I started learning about everything about investing. And
Okay.
luckily enough, if you are in the UK, it's like unlimited access to internet. So you have the
Yeah.
room to learn everything you want. YouTube is where I practically live. Everything about investing will just pop up. I will watch. In fact, in the last 4 years, I've been watching something about investing almost every day. And the good thing about all these things is that it's going to recommend some other things to you. Now, as I was learning, I made some mistakes along the way, of course, but I learned quickly. I didn't make so much mistake. I get the grasp of how everything really works in like 6 months. And the moment I get the grasp, someone that is investing like £50, £100 before, now turn to someone that is investing like £500 because of that understanding.
Yeah.
So I started doubling down. Along the journey, I became a little bit more active on Twitter as well. And as I was active on Twitter, I was relating with some guys, big guys on Twitter that are doing well back in Nigeria. So that tells a story that you can actually do well in Nigeria. You don't have to jackpa to do well. What are these guys doing to be doing well? That's the question. Most of these guys are founders. Most of these
Yeah.
guys are into real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what else are they doing that I can do? Most of them are investing in the capital market in Nigeria. Then I started realizing that initially I didn't want to focus on individual stocks back in Nigeria. I just wanted to go through the route of like find one mutual fund and put my money there. I opened an account with Cowrywise.
Mm-hmm.
So I checked their mutual fund and you realize now I have some disposable income.
Yeah.
Thank God for the exchange rate as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some disposable income that I can send back home and just do the experiment. I think I put like 400k back in like 2022 in the Cowrywise just to see how it's going to do. And for someone that has been investing here, it didn't really make sense to me how those mutual funds, and I went for the aggressive one. Doing that as well, I research everything. I know what those mutual fund contains. Then I was like, I don't think it's worth it. And plus the charge that they will be charging on those mutual fund, it's in like 1% or something. That's first thing that is ridiculous to me. But at that point, I didn't mind. I still want to experiment what the mutual fund is like. So I take the money out, and then you remember, was it 2023? I think the NGS was in a very bull market in that year. The Transcorp went from like 1 Naira to 13 Naira or so.
Yes.
That popped up on my feed. And Nigerian stock market did well than the US stock market that year. I was like, this is ridiculous. And if I know some of these guys are doing well in Nigeria, and I'm very bullish about Nigeria, and I know that some of these companies will continue to do well, now I delve into the Nigerian market. I was like, the stocks in Nigeria are dead cheap. I was like, even if not for anything, I have to put some things here just to see how it goes. Now, that's what sparked my interest in the Nigerian market.
That's interesting. Yeah, like you said, when you were talking about what really sparked your interest in Nigeria, I heard you say some things like you focus on YouTube a lot, you learn from YouTube, and you also happen to focus on Twitter, where you get to rub minds with investing investors who have like minds like you. That's just quickly took me back to the last time we had a guest on this podcast. He currently manages a Twitter handle called Stock Bubbles. He uses our bubble to
Oh, okay. I
really
think I think I
share
saw that.
what
I
is
saw it pop up.
yeah. So he uses these bubbles to really tell you what is going on in the market. You can see the price movement, you can see the valuation. Yeah. So to cut a long story short, when we sat down with him, he told us some things that are really resonating with what you're just saying right now. He said YouTube is where he really got the grasp of everything. And I also believe that YouTube is the best invention ever made by man because there's nothing you're looking for on YouTube that you wouldn't get there. And he also said
100%.
that you should declutter your social media space. That word still resonates with me to date. I did that immediately. He said that you should declutter your social media space. Those distractions, those news that will always distract you, those comedy stuff, take them to the minimum. Just try and follow investing handles, investors, like-minded people. That's where you now get a lot of information. And like from your own story now, from crypto to stock market, from the stock market in the UK, in the US, now to Nigeria, you can see the way you are evolving from one stage to another because you're able to surround yourself with these like-minded individuals, not getting distracted, which is something I really commend. And moving on, I want to ask you a question. Was there a turning point or a money mistake that made you take investing seriously?
I don't think I've made so many mistakes or like a major turning point that made me take investing seriously. I will mention the mistake I made in the investing journey. But taking investing seriously, it's just me wanting to get my money working for me and make more money than what I have.
Okay.
That's the main push.
Okay.
I just want to make more money. Now starting that journey, reading some of the books I was opportune to read at that time and watching YouTube further opened my eyes to the possibility of things that can happen through investing.
Okay. That's good.
Because I'm someone that will go on YouTube and watch portfolio updates of people that have achieved financial freedom. Portfolio update of people that have millions in their account. I was like, I get there one day. And this is when I have like £1,000 in my portfolio.
Yeah.
So I can't really say there is like a big turning point of it's just my own knack for learning and wanting to make more
Okay.
that push me there. And I know the only way I can get there from those books I've read, the only way I can get there is through investing.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. So, what is it like investing in Nigeria while living in the UK? Because it's very few people do that. So, what is it like?
So with investing in Nigeria, I'm someone that always approach things with knowledge. Okay. There is a lot of things about trust that people don't want to invest in Nigeria because of those. That's one part. The second part is policies in Nigeria. You never can tell what policy is going to come out tomorrow, or whether that's going to affect the company you invest in, or even your investment in general.
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, I found out that Nigeria is also evolving, and every day there's a lot of development. And if you actually approach things from knowledge, you now tends to go the right way. When I was doing the research, that's when you came across, oh, before you can invest with any company, it has to be SEC-regulated. You came across those things, that to go for a broker, it has to be SEC-regulated. To do this, it has to be this. To do that, it has to be that. So, in fact, when I first opened the first brokerage account in Nigeria, when I checked the SEC website, that brokerage account itself is not on the SEC website. It's there through like a third party.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't comfortable with that. I left and opened another one that is SEC regulated. That's one problem that many people will have, the trust issue. The second problem is that investing back in Nigeria, if you are in the UK, opening an account is another problem. As you will know, Stanbic is one of the biggest broker in Nigeria. I've used Stanbic for the last 14 years or 15. I wanted to open account with Stanbic. What my eyes saw opening that account, it's so difficult to open the account. I put my UK address. I was asked to notarize the address and all sorts. The money I'm going to use to notarize, even if I use the money to start the investment, it will go a long way.
Yes.
That was there. I didn't go further with that until I finally found a fintech app that made it so much easier to open the account. Even though with that, to open an account in Nigeria to invest, you still have to use your Nigeria address. You have to use your Nigeria address and use your Nigerian phone number. This is another problem we are facing. The moment you put your UK phone number there, you won't be able to continue opening the account because you won't be able to get the OTP that they will use to validate your account. So many people that want to engage in Nigerian capital markets can't because of these restrictions. So some of the fintech or even banks need to do better, especially for Nigerians abroad, in terms of this aspect. So for me, my Nigerian number is still working. That's what I use to open those accounts and be able to do this. Not many people will want to go through that stress. If I consider the stress I went through with Stanbic alone, I would not be investing in Nigeria until I found the fintech one that I'm using now. So which is quite something. That's one story. Another story is the charge. It is ridiculous, especially for someone that is investing here. Investing here, there are so many brokers here, and you'll be the one to go for which one you want. And there are so many free commission broker. I don't have to pay anything to invest with the broker. If I execute a transaction, boom, it's done without anything. Here in Nigeria, to even top up my account, I'll have to pay a charge. Broker will charge their own, bank will charge their own. After topping up, to buy any stocks, I'll still pay commission. Even if I want to sell, I'll still pay commission. So which means sometimes you can even be buying shares, making profits on the share you bought, but you'll be losing to commission and the charge. For someone that is new to investing in overseas, it may not really mean anything to them. But for someone like me that have been used to not paying anything, I found that really weird. But I just have to adjust myself to the system. And one thing I wanted to point out to probably anyone in the diaspora listening to this is that my own philosophy of investing in Nigeria It's not the way you approach it. Mine is not about repatriation back to the UK. My investment in Nigeria is for Nigeria. My investment in the UK is there to cater for the UK. If you are planning to repatriate, that's another way of approaching your investment because of this exchange rate and things like that. So those are the struggle with investing in Nigeria stock market. But I mean, you just have to adjust your system that okay, this is a different thing, and that's another thing. And you have to learn like you are starting your investment journey at the beginning again. The moment you want to start investing in Nigerian stock, but even though you have been investing in the UK before, because this is a system that we are now, we have some stocks that are not liquid. And I made the mistakes in the beginning. I bought some stocks that I felt are big names, couldn't able to sell them when I need the money. Like you remember I said I opened one broker that has a third party on SEC.
Yeah.
So I bought Dangote Cement on that broker. Before I could sell Dangote Cement, it has to be at a loss
Wow.
because the only volatility you see was when it came down, not when it was going up. And that's the
Yes.
only time the volume was much that I can sell it. So you can imagine finding myself in a situation where I'm coming from a place where I execute transaction immediately to another system where price will just remain the same and I won't be able to sell it. So those are the things. But I mean, I think I've figured it out now, and the journey has been smooth.
Yes, thank you for that. There are so many challenges we currently face here in the Nigerian capital market. There are so many things. You just pinpointed on some of them. The fees, the illiquidity of some stocks, the bottleneck, there's so many troubles you have to go through before you could open a stockbroking account. There are just so many. And we are expecting that things will get better. If you look at the stock
That's my
market,
hope.
yeah, if you look at the stock market for the past, let's say, 15 years or so, there have been some improvements, but we are asking for more. We'll keep on saying things that are not right so that they can make them right. And this is one avenue by which we can actually send our message, our frustrations, and the things that we are not happy with to the regulator so that they can make it work out for us. And yeah, like I said before, I ask you this last question. Very few people who live in the diasporas actually invest back in Nigeria when it comes to the capital market. And some of these things that you just laid out now are some of the reasons why they actually don't really want to invest in Nigeria. Because if they look at the stress, the pain they're going to go through just to invest in Nigeria, then they also think about the currency conversion. And if, for instance, if someone that has that intention of not coming back to Nigeria, they will feel like they're not going to make more money, even if they make profits in Nigeria. When you convert it back due to naira devaluation and depreciation, there is really nothing coming out of it, and that could also discourage them too. But I'm glad we found someone like you who is investing in Nigeria, and not only that, you're also spreading, you're sharing your investing tips, your investing experience with others, so that could encourage people. Because yeah, we really want people in the diasporas to invest back home in Nigeria, because when they invest back home in Nigeria, they contribute to the economy of Nigeria and they help the country to grow too, because it's our fatherland, like it or not. It's our fatherland. So yeah, that's very interesting. I like that. The next question I wanted to ask, I think you've just answered that question. I wanted to ask about the platforms that you use to
Oh,
invest in
okay.
Nigeria.
Except if
Yeah.
you want me to mention the one I use, I don't mind. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. If you could just mention the ones you've used and the one you currently use, if you can just tell us what are some of the advantages over the ones that you don't use currently, that could help whoever that is listening to make a decision. Because most of the questions we get, they ask us, What stockbroker do you want me to use? Which platform can I use to buy stocks in Nigeria?" So that will help too.
The one I was using earlier, the one I started with was Trove. To open the account is okay. It was easy. In fact,
Okay.
I like their approach in opening the account because they send you an email rather than sending things to your phone number.
Yeah.
So I like that. But their charge is more, and I don't like the interface as well.
Okay.
So, and when I check on the SEC platform, Trove itself is not on the SEC platform, but they're on like under one third party company. I've forgotten the name of the company, except maybe they've just joined SEC list now. But as at that time when I opened it, they were not by themselves on SEC, but under one asset management firm. I've forgotten the
Okay.
name. So
Okay.
that's one. So that's why I had to leave that one. The one I currently use is in Fed Bamboo.
Okay.
Their own charge seems to be lesser than Trove, based on my own experience in terms of their commission. And I like the interface
Okay.
of Bamboo. So, and since I've started using them, it seems quite
Good.
okay.
Okay.
Although I didn't really buy any foreign stocks on Trove at that point, but with Bamboo, if you want to buy any foreign stocks, if you know that you don't have enough capital, don't even try it because to purchase any stocks, any singular foreign stocks, you're going to pay $1 commission.
Oh my God.
Imagine you put 3,000 and you want to buy part share of Nvidia and they've removed 1.6 as commission. What's going to be left for you is just 1.4. So be careful if you want to invest in foreign stocks on the
Wow.
app. It's for people that have a lot to spare. If you don't, that 1% commission is, let me tell you the experiment I tried. I put 2K in the app
Yeah.
and I said, let me use this 2K to buy Google stock. Guess what? They removed their 1.6 and they used 400 to buy the
400.
share for me.
Oh
You
my
see how
God.
ridiculous that is?
Ah.
Because
Wow.
so you can imagine, and what does that tell us? That is not motivating at all for people with low income.
Yes, it keeps
And we
them
are
away.
trying to say people should invest in foreign stock to hedge against inflation. How does someone with 5K wants to hedge against inflation if you are already removing 1.6 as commission?
Um,
So if for me, I would like, if you are not buoyant enough, don't near foreign stocks. Just stick to Nigerian stocks. So that's my experience. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, what you said is the reality on ground. Like they say the world is a global village, but living in Nigeria makes it very difficult for you to access this benefit of being living in a global village because there's a lot of bottlenecks that you have to go through in order for you to be able to feel like someone that lives in a Western world, and it's very very difficult. Like investing in, like what you just said now, $1 charge, that's huge for you to even come up with let's say $3. You want to invest $3 in the foreign stock, US stock, and $1 is taken out. You don't even know what's going to happen with that stock. What if the stock doesn't really appreciate that much? Then you lose that money. And for someone that is new, if you experience that, it's going to be really, really discouraging. And that's why investing knowledge is also important. There is what we call diversification. Most people don't really know this. Uh, I know there was a time, piggy bank, piggy vest. I opened, not I bought a dollar fund with them. Then dollar was like 150 naira. I think it was during the time of Jonathan. 150
Mm.
naira to a dollar. That's when I bought that dollar fund. So because I had this knowledge, I knew that if I want to buy foreign stock, the fee they're going to charge is going to be more than what I want, like more than half of what I'm investing. So I decided if I need to hedge against the naira, I should go for the fund instead of buying stocks. And when I
See?
went for this fund, there was no charge. So there's no charge attached to investing in the fund, you know? So I just did that. And it's been reoccurring. There's been like they pay me interest every now and then. And I've seen the interest, but the interest is not really what really motivated me when was looking at it, reviewing it some few months ago. I was just looking at the appreciation, the edge itself, because I bought it when I invested in this fund when it was like 150 naira to a dollar. Now
One
the
six.
dollar is 1.6. So you can see the edge there. If I had gone for a stock, I might probably have gotten that return as well, but it would have been at the expense of paying a huge fee for investing in the stock. So knowledge really matters. If you have this knowledge, instead of going for a foreign stock when you don't have enough money, you can go for a fund, a dollar fund, something that could also hedge against the dollar, the naira rather. So that way you are diversifying in the first place. Then also you're also protecting your investment, because if your if the naira keeps depreciating, you have some fund that will also fight against inflation on that. And so that's one
That's
thing most
right.
people should understand. It's not just I invest in US stock, I invest in US stock, I live in Nigeria and I invest in US stock. That mindset is wrong. Knowledge first. If you have this knowledge, you would do many people will not make that mistake of spending $1 as a fee to invest in US stock. Why don't you just use it to invest in a dollar fund? It helps. So knowledge is very important. Moving on. Um, what are your favorite Nigerian sector or stock and why?
Do I have a favorite Nigerian sector? The way I approach things is quite different. Okay.
Okay.
So when I first wanted to start, the goal was simple then. Just follow the big guys. That was the goal initially. We have the list of big guys, we know them. Dangote, Otedola, Elumelu,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bua. You know the big guys already. And you know the
Yes.
big conglomerates. Nestle,
Yeah.
Seplat, you know all these guys. So I have
Yeah.
the list of them like that. And the telecommunication giants as well. Because I'm of the opinion of less is more when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
investing.
Yes.
I believe in putting 5 million naira each into 5 companies or 7 companies rather than investing in 30 companies. So the goal was simple, follow these guys. And then when I came back to the table, most of their stocks are not liquid. That erased some of the stocks out of my list.
Yeah.
And then what I now do now is I list 7 most important sectors in Nigeria: hospitality, telecommunication, oil and gas, uh, consumer staples. What other sector is left?
Agriculture.
But finance and agric. Have a list of those sectors. The next job I need to do is find a leader. I don't try to chase memes or mini stocks personally. Once I have a list of the sectors like that, find the leaders. And do they align with my own value? That's it. And what are their dividend? So I have a list like that. And I listed their leaders and I just invest in it. The only place that I didn't invest in the leader of industry is banking sector.
Okay.
That's because I'm a Muslim.
Oh, I see.
Most of Nigerian banks are not Sharia compliant except Jais. So I
Jais.
went with
Yeah.
Jais.
Yeah.
And of course, when you talk about Islamic banking as well, Jais is the leader. So
Yeah.
I went with Jais in that part. But other aspects, just name the leader. Agric as well, it might be between Okomo and Presco. But I went with Presco. So things like that. That's how I do my own thing. My investment thesis is simple. Simple and straightforward. And once I found it out like that, just double down. Yeah.
That's good. There's no need to complicate matters. There's no
No,
need
no,
to
no.
complicate it. Just make it simple. I love that.
And and also one thing is that most of being a Muslim also gives you another form of you just have to have knowledge before you start investing. Most of the things in Nigeria doesn't align with Sharia compliancy. Like so many stocks did well in Nigeria from insurance. I knew them before they did well, but I didn't invest in them. That's because of that value. And that's why it's important that people need to consider knowledge to know that they must only invest in something that align with
with
their
their
value
faith.
and belief.
Yes,
So yeah.
that's very important because of my own journey. When I started from mutual funds, like you said. And if you look at those mutual funds in Nigeria, we have the ones that have ethical mutual funds. So based on your belief and your faith, people that are more likely not to invest in stock market because of faith or beliefs, they can look at those ethical
Yeah.
companies, ethical stocks, ethical funds that they can put their money into. That being said, apart from the equities, buying stocks in Nigeria, do you also invest in treasury bills or bonds and agricultural investment platform, real estate?
Treasury bills on bonds, no, because of the religious belief. But sukuk, yes.
Okay. What about
And in
agricultural
terms of
investment?
agriculture, not on platforms. I
Okay.
do that on a physical note. So my
Okay.
dad ran something that is related to this part. So I invested some money there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And real estate?
I mean, if you can count the land in my village as a form of investment, yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there are some people they invest in real estate as well. There's I think the second individual we interviewed on this podcast. He lives in the UK as well. Uh, he invests in real estate and he invests in the Nigerian stock market. He doesn't do any other thing apart. He doesn't invest in the UK in terms of
Uh,
stock market. He doesn't invest in the US. I think he was doing it in Nigeria before he went to the UK. So
mm.
he just
For me,
like
I
it's
have a different
yeah,
opinion of investing in real estate in Nigeria. So if it's
yeah,
another yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so like you just said now, you made it simple. He also made it simple. He doesn't want to overcomplicate things because there are so many, according to him, there are so many distractions. So instead of being distracted, spread your tentacles in US, UK, Nigeria, he just made it simple. Real estate and stock market only in Nigeria. Simple. There are so many ways to reach this financial independence. It's just that most times we just overcomplicate things by trying to do so many things at the same time, and it brings in confusion. So I like your approach. Make it simple. You know what you're going for. You know, because when you make it simple, it's very easy for you to manage. When you overcomplicate it, it
Mm.
becomes a problem. Yeah. So just a follow up question: which of these asset classes has been the most rewarding for you? You said
My my largest.
crypto. The one that is most rewarding to you, like, is it crypto or
No.
equity stocks?
Equity stocks, the US stocks. That is
Okay,
where I
okay,
have majority of my net worth and is the
okay.
most performing asset for me
Oh,
by
that's
wider
good.
margin.
That's good.
By
Okay.
wider margin.
Wow.
So
So
US stocks, crypto, then other ones.
Nigeria stock. Okay. So how do you allocate your portfolio across these assets? Is there a specific
Eh,
strategy you follow that you would like to share with our audience?
uh, I mean, I'm someone that like to put systems in place.
Okay.
I started my journey from investing in US markets. I have no UK stocks in my portfolio.
Oh,
Just to clarify, because
okay.
the UK stocks has not been doing well over the years anyway. So the US market has been the one doing most. So most of my investment are in US stocks.
Okay.
And the system is that's what comes first. And
Okay.
it takes if you break it down in terms of
Yeah.
portfolio allocation, let's
Mm-hmm.
say 90% of my net worth is in US stocks,
Okay.
5% in crypto. Because what is in Nigeria is a very small, is a tiny bit, very
Okay.
tiny. In fact, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's up to 1%. So
Oh,
I'll say crypto will take like 5%.
okay. Then the rest
Yeah.
is Nigeria. Okay.
So because the Nigerian one, I really started taking Nigerian stocks very seriously last December. Everything that was happening before is like this. Now I've created a system for Nigerian stocks that I now have a particular amount that I want to be investing there at the end of every month now. So maybe in the future it may later take some percentages, but right now it's like 1% or less.
Okay.
Most are in the US stocks. Crypto, because of the risk involved, and I don't do much in crypto as well, it's just Bitcoin, Ethereum.
Oh,
That's
that's good.
it.
Okay.
And that just takes like 5%. In terms of asset performance, Bitcoin has performed excellently well. But unfortunately, in my portfolio, I have some individual stocks that has outperformed that as well. So yeah, but crypto is like 5%, 90% stocks, US.
Oh, that's good. That's interesting. So let's just switch it a little bit. Let's switch to balancing life, work, and wealth. How do you manage your investing activities while working in such a demanding field? Because I know nothing is very demanding. So how do you do that?
Like I said, create a system around the way you do your things. I track my
Okay.
expenses. I know the budget of our household, the amount we are going to spend this month. This is it. This is the amount that will be going into investment. It helps to make it in percentages. If you say you want to be investing 25% of your income, then that's what will be going towards that investment. So every single month, I already know that 1,000 pounds is going to this account. This is going to this account. This is going to that account. That was what was lacking at the beginning until I realized that if you don't have a system, you won't be consistent. But
Yes.
if you have a system in place, it will lead to that consistency. So the moment I build that, it makes my investing easy. All I have to do is every month, the same amount goes into the account. What I will now buy will depends on whatever is happening and whatever I will go and check in the market. Now, with the Nigerian investment I've now taken seriously, the plan I have for the Nigerian investment before was that from my agricultural business, the money I'm making there will be the one I'll be investing
Mm-hmm.
in the Nigerian market.
Yep.
So that money making in Nigeria will just be going there now to the stockbroker. But when I now decided that okay, I want to take it seriously now. Now I've decided that certain fragments, this amount will be going there every month. This will be going there at this point. I invested in the new Sukuk that they just brought out.
Okay.
That will be going to the stock Nigerian portfolio as well. Anytime I'm getting it, to be going there. It helps to have disposable income. And this is why rich people get richer. Because they have disposable incomes to dispense around. So that's it. Creating that system just makes everything easy. Because I know where everything will be going at the end of every month. So I don't have to sit down and think again at the end of the month. This is going this is going that way. So yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Thank you so much for that. So, the next question is: has being a healthcare worker shaped how you view risk or plan for the future?
Yes. When you do the kind of work I do as a nurse, you will have seen a lot of people how their health went from here to here. You will have seen a lot of death. You will have seen so many of these things. And sometimes I wonder why many nurses don't want to invest because of risk involved, because we take risk every single day. But many nurses don't invest. I was like, this is what we do every day. In fact, you'll be having problem in your house with your wife, and you still go to work and be smiling.
Mm-hmm.
So I think being an healthcare in a way has kind of shifted my own mindset and in a way motivated me to actually want to achieve that kind of financial freedom so that I will not find myself where I don't want to be in the future. And in a way, it increased my risk appetite as well for me.
Okay. All right. So, what is your biggest investing lesson that you've learned so far? The biggest.
Biggest. Which one rank as the biggest? I've learned so many lessons along the way. Uh, let's say the biggest I would say is understanding what you want to invest in.
Okay.
Have the basic understanding of whatever you want to invest in. It doesn't matter which asset class. If you can't explain it to a 3-year-old or a lay person, don't put your money there because you are likely going to lose money. I learned this at the beginning of my journey. Back in 2021, there was a coin called Luna.
Yeah.
Luna was selling for like $80 at that time. I bought it, it went to like 120 or so. And then they had this Luna crash. The coin is selling for like less than $1 now. I'm happy I learned that lesson at the beginning of my journey. That I only invested like £200 or so there. Imagine if it were to be more. And I did that because I just saw that coin being mentioned on Twitter and I put money there without understanding it. So the biggest lesson in this journey is always make sure to understand what you want to invest your money in. If you don't, and you just follow what people are saying that maybe they are making money in it or so, you end up losing money in that thing. I think that rank as the biggest.
Yeah. One of my popular saying is hype will not make you rich. Hype will not make you wealthy. If you follow hype, well, you might have yourself to blame. Now, just a real life practical question. If I give you 1 million naira or 1,000 pounds right now, how would you invest it across countries and asset classes?
I mean, not to, how do I want to put it? Those amounts with the value of my portfolio, those accounts won't really make a dent or a life-changing effect in my portfolio. So at the moment, it will just go into the Nigeria account, into the Nigeria portfolio. It won't £1,000 won't really do anything in my main portfolio.
Okay, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
For because our podcast is usually targeted at new investors
Uh-huh.
in Nigeria who have very little disposable income. So to them, this 1 million naira is a huge money. So if you were to be a new investor in Nigeria with
Uh-huh.
not so much disposable income, but you're giving 1 million naira, how would you invest it? The reason why we're asking this question is because we get a lot of questions from our listeners who happens to be new investors, not so much money. If you have this money, how would you invest it? So that's why we're asking you
Okay.
now. Just yeah. So how would you invest it?
So say you give me 1 million naira now, and it's a life-changing money to me. So the way
Yes.
I'm going to invest it will be, or let me even clarify something before I say this.
Okay.
So people need to understand that investing in equity comes with its own risk.
Yes.
But anyway, let's go back to how I'm going to split it.
Okay.
£100,000 will go into emergency fund, which
Okay.
will be a savings account.
Okay.
£500,000 is going to go into foreign equity, US stocks.
Okay.
The other £400,000 will go into NGX. That's how I'm going to split it.
NGS. Okay. That's interesting. So our listeners who have been asking us questions about where to invest a certain amount of money into different asset classes, you heard it from the expert himself. That's how he's going to invest it. So you might also want to take a leaf from what he just said because he gave reasons why he's investing it in each of these asset classes and just to edge against losing your money. But yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you so much for that. Um, Last question before we call it a day. What is one thing Nigeria retail investors must know before putting their money in any market, home or abroad?
One thing Nigeria retail investor must know. Know that when you are investing as a retail investor, know that you cannot time the market. Market is unpredictable
Okay.
and things will go up and down. And as a retail investor, you are not there to time exactly what the price is going to be at one point or the other, because you may be thinking it's high now and you are not buying the stocks that you have done research on that you think is a good company, thinking it's going to come down to one level. It may never come there again. So
Okay.
never time markets and invest for the long term.
Okay. So timing of the market, most of us we do that all the time. So your advice is don't time the market.
Done.
Okay. That is very interesting. And we want to thank you for taking our time to sit with us, to share your investing journey, your experience with our listeners. And that's a wrap for today's conversation with Uthman, a nurse, an investor, and all round inspiration. Each story is a reminder that no matter your profession, building wealth is possible with the right mindset and strategy. If you've enjoyed this episode, do us a favor, share it with a friend, share it with a family member, leave a review, and don't forget to follow us at TNI Podcaster on Twitter, now known as X. Until next time, stay consistent, stay curious, and stay invested. Thank you. Thank you for listening to another episode of the favorite podcast that brings insight to the Nigerian stock market. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. To get more episodes like this, follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, as well as on our website. All this information is available in the show note below this episode. Until we bring you another episode your way next week. Bye for now. TNI Podcast is executive produced by Mudi. This episode was edited by Rona at Rock Village Studio.